Fellas, today I'm here to explain to you why every single UFC champion will lose their belt. Now we all know, no matter how unbeatable you look, the belt belongs to no one. That's a famous quote by Leon Edwards, and he proved that when he knocked out Kamaru Usman in one of the biggest upsets we've ever seen in a championship fight. So while I'm not necessarily out here predicting that all these champions will lose their next fight, I'm just explaining to you the reasoning why they possibly could lose their next fight, because it could happen to anyone. GSP got knocked out by Matt Serra. Crazy things happen. I'm going to start off here with the heavyweight division. I'm going to be talking about Tom Aspinall, not John Jones, because I think John Jones is going to beat Stipe Miocic and then just retire, so it's not even worth talking about him. Let's talk about the active fighter, Tom Aspinall, the interim champion. Now, this is a guy who, once John Jones retires, I really don't see many guys even competing with him. Maybe Jailton Almeida could give him some issues on the ground. Maybe Cyril Gane could point fight him to a decision. But just in general, I think Tom Aspinall has got the belt for a while. But with that being said, this is the heavyweight division, 265-pound men with just 4-ounce gloves. Anything can happen. If Tom Aspinall is going to lose, I don't think he's going to be outclassed or outperformed by anyone. I think he's just going to get clipped because that's the nature of the heavyweight division. And it's not like Tom Aspinall is unhittable. We've seen him get clipped by Sergey Pavlovich in another night that could have knocked him out cold. It's going to take a fight similar to a Derek Lewis versus Curtis Blaydes, where Curtis Blaydes was completely outperforming Derek Lewis, like how Tom Aspinall will do to every heavyweight. But then Derek Lewis out of nowhere hits one of the craziest uppercuts we've ever seen. That's what it's going to take to take down Tom Aspinall. So in terms of skill and being better than your opponent, I think Tom Aspinall is more than safe for now unless he goes against John Jones. But it is the heavyweight division, so eventually he will get clipped. That's just how heavyweight MMA works. So now we move down a division to 205 light heavyweight. The champion right now is Alex Pereira. He fights this weekend versus Khalil Roundtree. I'm pretty confident he'll get the job done. I really don't see anyone outside of maybe Israel Adesanya outstriking Alex Pereira to a victory. But I think you guys know what's coming here. The answer is obvious. The way Alex Pereira is going to lose is when he runs into a world-class grappler. Sure, Alex Pereira has shown pretty good takedown defense, but if he goes to a true top-of-the-line grappler, this guy is going to be in trouble if they could survive on the feet and just get him to the ground. Now, a guy like Magomed Ankalaev could be that guy, but I don't even know if his grappling is elite enough, so it's probably going to have to be someone else, maybe someone like a Bo Nickel or something like that. Probably not actually Bo Nickel because he's at 185 and Pereira is probably not going back down, but it's going to take someone who employs a grappling-heavy approach and uses it effectively while not getting knocked out on the feet. It's going to happen eventually, or Pereira will just retire. Now moving down to middleweight, 185, our champion right now is Dricus du Plessis, and I think he is going to be absolutely exposed by one of these rising contenders. We all always joke about how funny and goofy Dricus du Plessis looks while fighting, and people just don't understand how it works. How could a guy who fights like that beat Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya? And I think right now it's getting the job done, but eventually we're going to have a Kamaru Usman, Tyron Woodley situation where some rising contender is going to come up and absolutely dominate Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis is winning all his fights right now by a combination of phenomenal game planning and just unbelievable physicality, but there's going to be somebody who is going to be able to neutralize that. And my prediction for that guy would be Khamzat Chimaev. I think he's going to beat Robert Whittaker, then go to Dricus du Plessis and submit him. So it may seem crazy right now because Dricus du Plessis is on a crazy roll, beating everyone he fights, but I'm telling you right now, eventually this guy is going to be exposed, not for being a bad fighter, but there's going to be a bad stylistic matchup for him, and he is going to look very, very bad, mark my words. Now we go down to 170. The champion of welterweight is Belal Muhammad, and this one's an easy one. Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to demolish Belal Muhammad in every single facet of the game. Did I predict Sean Brady to beat Belal Muhammad? Yes, I did. Did I predict Gilbert Burns to beat Belal Muhammad? Yes, I did. Did I predict Leon Edwards to beat Belal Muhammad? Yes, I did. Will I predict Shavkat Rakhmonov to beat Belal Muhammad? You're damn right I will. Belal Muhammad has continually proved me wrong and made me look like a fool over and over and over again, but I do truly believe that Shavkat Rakhmonov is the guy to put a stop to this nonsense. I think Shavkat is just better at every facet of the game, minus striking defense. I think Shavkat is the better physicality guy. He's the better grappler. He's the better striker. He's the better finisher. The two things Belal probably has is striking defense and maybe cardio, but we haven't really seen Shavkat's cardio, so that's to be determined. But yeah, I think Belal Muhammad is done as a champion. As soon as they lock that cage up with Shavkat Rakhmonov, it will be over in 2 or 3 rounds. Give me Shavkat as the next champion at welterweight. Now we go to 155. The lightweight champion is Islam Mackachev, and this guy is probably not going to lose for a long time. He looks absolutely unstoppable right now, maybe the best fighter in the entire UFC. But he will have one fatal flaw. And I could already see it coming. That one fatal flaw is he's going to fall in love with his hands. We saw it a little bit versus Dustin Poirier and Alexander Volkanovski. He is kind of straying away from his wrestling. When he uses that wrestling, he looks unstoppable. He submits Dustin Poirier. But he loves his hands, and his hands are phenomenal. I'm not going to lie. but his bread and butter is his grappling. The further he strays away from that, the more likely he is to lose. I think he's going to try and knock somebody out. He's going to get clipped, and that's how he's going to lose his belt. It's a similar situation to the whole Tom Aspinall situation. I don't see a guy actually being better than and outperforming Islam Mackachev. Same goes for Tom Aspinall, but I do see him eventually getting clipped because I think he'll fall in love with his hands, and that will be his fatal flaw. Watch it. And now we go to featherweight. The 145-pound champion is my man, Ilia Topuria, and he's not going to lose his belt. If he can get past Max Holloway, which is an if, I'm predicting Ilia Topuria to win, but I could at least acknowledge that Max Holloway has a shot. But if Ilia Topuria gets the job done there, I don't see him losing his belt for years. Call me a glazer all you want, but I really see Ilia Topuria having the potential to be a top 10 and maybe even top 5 fighter of all time. His striking is unbelievable, maybe the best in the whole UFC, and he has more submissions than he does knockouts. This guy is super well-rounded. I don't think he's going to lose his belt ever at featherweight unless he gets really, really old and is out of his prime. So the answer to how Ilia Topuria is going to lose his belt is either I think he will vacate and retire, or he just falls out of his prime, because the current Ilia Topuria, if he beats Max Holloway, is not losing his belt to anyone. Watch it. Now we go to 135, the bantamweight champion, the cardio machine, Merab Dvalishvili. This guy, if it ever goes to decision, is probably going to win every single time, but he's going to get clipped. We all see all the clips of guys like Marlon Moraes and Jose Aldo landing good shots on Merab Dvalishvili. And to be fair, if there's going to be anyone to clip Merab and put him out of there, it probably would have been Sean O'Malley, but that's why I'm predicting that Merab will be a long-time champion. But eventually, I think his striking deficiencies will catch up to him. Right now, the reason why he looks okay on the feet is because of his wrestling pressure and unbelievable cardio, which is so hard to deal with. But somebody will clip him. He's proven to be a little chinny as well. Somebody will knock him out eventually, probably in 2 or 3 years. Maybe a guy like Corey Sandhagen, if he could get to the belt, or maybe Peter Yan could catch him, even though that looked terrible last time. I don't know who it is, but I think somebody will eventually clip him. I don't see him ever losing by a decision. And finally, we have Alex Pantoja, the 125 flyweight champion, and I think his kryptonite is going to be his overconfidence. If you watch this guy fight, he just walks guys forward, stalks them down, chin up, hands low, and he gets clipped a lot, but he just walks through it, powers through, and wins the fight. But eventually, especially as he gets up there in age, that's going to catch up to him. I don't know who it'll be. Maybe a guy like Tatsuro Taira. Not really sure, but somebody's going to knock him out bad, and that's how he'll lose his belt. So that's how I think every UFC champion will eventually lose their belt. Let me know what you guys agree and disagree with, and thank you for watching.